So next I'm gonna do the ground plane and populate it with these trees. So let's put this tree to the origin, right there, and maybe we can scale it down, and like that. And let's create the plane, change the size, 100, and let's say 50. Gonna put it there and scale it a bit, like that. Yeah, so it's like, so I don't want it to be flat. Alright, this is it, we're done. So there's actually quite a lot of ways to populate it with the geometry. You can use the XGen, but normally I prefer to use particles instead, particles and instancer. So let's switch to the dynamics, and right here create particles and emit from object. Next thing, you should go to the preferences, to the time slider tab, and check the playback speed. Make sure that's play with frame. You should always do it for all types of simulations. So probably you'll have the real time. Let's switch to the play with frame, save, and let's make it 200 frames. Let's see what we got. So we got particles. Let's change it to the shading to the spheres and increase the size. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I want to get the tree where the particle is. So now if we run through this, if you run the simulation, you see that they're flying away. So let's put gravity to 0, and in the particles and the dynamic properties, let's change 10 to 10. Alright, so the particles stay on the ground. Next, what we can do is select our tree. Yeah, again, make sure that it's placed on the origin, and better delete the history, freeze transformations and stuff. So next you should select the tree, the particle, and to the instancer. Alright, good, so let's play again. And nothing's happening. The problem is that for some reason, if you are using the ShaderFX on the instancer, it's not being displayed. Let's existing number 2. Yeah, I see that this is all works fine. Before we fix that problem, let me show you some weird things happening with the transparency. So you can try to fix it. So let's go to the render tab, option box, and there's a transparency algorithm right here. So by default it's simple. There's another one, object sorting. Let's try this one. Got the same result anyway. Depth billing. So as far as you can see, this is all looking very weird. Let's again assign the ShaderFX. What we can do is convert the instancer to the mesh, but Right here, if we check the convert tab, there's nothing here, so you can convert the nParticles, but this won't work. Alright, so we're gonna use script for that. Under the video there's a link where you can download it, and it's called the Bake Particle Instancer. Let's put it to the script editor right here. Let's clean the fields and just drag and drop it. Alright, so this is the mail, so make sure you put it to the mail tab, not to the Python. Alright, so you can select it all, and with the middle mouse drag and drop, put it to the shelf, so it's there now. Alright, so if you run the script, you can see that there's some options. This is the per particle attributes like the incandescence, opacity, and the color, basically. Next we can bake rotation, bake scale. Yeah, we are not using anything from that, so basically we don't need this. But before we run the script, we got to set initial state for the particles. So let's run simulation again. Let's say I like to have this amount of trees. Alright, so make sure you the nParticle selected, then we go to nsolver, initial state, and send from current. So I see in the first frame the number of particles stays the same, and next we got set the emission rate to 0. Alright, let's again select the initial state. Alright, cool. So let's change to Lambo 1. So we'll get as many trees here. Next we select the particle. You can uncheck this and start from 1 to, let's say, to the frame 2, and done. Alright, so you see that there's another group being created, and there's a list of the meshes being done. So we got 46 trees over there, and the good news about that the structure, yes, so if you take a look at our tree, this is the main face, and this is the main plane, and the extra we did, and as far as you remember, we unchecked the double-sided. So if you take a look at this one, for example, the double-sided is off. That's cool. Alright, so now we don't need the particles, we don't need the instancer, we don't need the emitter. And let's select hierarchy, delete the keys, and assign the ShaderFX. Alright, so we got our trees. It's looking good. Nice. Let's turn on the lights and the shadows. Yeah, you see that there's quite a lot of shadows over there. You don't have this weird stuff like when we use the lumber, so transparency works fine. Alright, cool. If you turn on the ambient occlusion, you see still we got these dark areas. Alright, I mentioned before the way to get away with this. And next thing I like to pay attention at if we select, for example, the first 5 trees, you can see that the position of the trees is quite random. What does it mean for you? For example, if you want to create different types of trees, for example, take this one, this guy, duplicate it, make it bigger, alright, rotate it somehow. right? And after that we again select this tree, select the nParticles, create the instancer. Yeah, there's gonna be two different meshes being used as the instancer. You do some scripting stuff and it will appear that you got several types of trees with different scale, rotation, stuff like that. But as soon as you convert it to the meshes, you won't be able to let's say this tree is small one and this tree is big one. So you'll have to reassign the textures manually. This might be okay if you got, let's say, 20 trees, but if you got 1 or 2,000, this is gonna be just impossible. So that's the way it is. Just keep that in mind. Alright, and the last thing, if we got the camera in scene, for example, from this side, yeah, this is looking very ugly, it's dark. Good thing is you can select all the trees and just rotate it so they are facing the camera again. Alright, so next thing I'd like to show the other thing regarding the transparency. You got two flames, it's like the flame from the rocket, and again there's some weird stuff going on. Yeah, see, as soon as you change the angle, the transparency of the smoke changes actually significantly. Let me show you the scene. So it also basically this emitter emits the smoke, this one emits the flame. Same stuff here. This guy gone somewhere for some reason. Alright. So 0, 0. Alright. Let's change the transparency algorithm. So if you are using simple, see that there's this weird stuff happening again. So normally we see the ones that's far away from us, far away from the camera. Object sorting seems to work fine, but as I said, that there's this is things happening. And next one, well, it's better than simple, but still this for some reason is more transparent than the other one. And the depth billing, alright, again, so we can change it to maximum. Well, still it's looking odd right here, even though we got a smoke. Yeah, so I can't say which algorithm is the best. It depends on the scene, depends what types of transparent object you are using. So basically with the ShaderFX it works fine. With the smoke you just have to keep in mind stuff I show you now. And now finally let's take a look at the scene from the beginning, the guy driving along the road. Alright, so I show you the way how to populate the ground with the trees. Let's check the stuff. The clouds, actually, this again ShaderFX shader, right? So the same way as we did the trees, you can see that it casts a nice shadow over there. For the environment I normally use Select history. I use standard Lambert. Alright, so I guess this is it. You got any questions, feel free to ask. As I said earlier, I'll do the video where I'm gonna answer all of them and show the way how to fix the problem.